Welcome into the Flippin' Hippos reseller channel. I'm Star. If you're new here or you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the thumbs up. It does help us feed our hungry hippos. Today is Monday, April 21st. I hope everyone had a good Easter and a good weekend. Because today is Monday, that means it's time for what sold on eBay. Just like every week, we're going to start with all of our plush sales. And then I have selected highlights of our sales from the week to talk about. Before we get started, I need to preface this video once again that I am a volume-based bread and butter business model. So I'm not out here selling vintage clothing, expensive luxury brands, high-end plush. My cost of goods per item is $1 or less in most instances. And I don't really go out and source these items or choose them one by one. I buy bulk. I buy large orders. I buy wholesale. So I can get a gaylord of plush, and there can be plenty in there that are fantastic, but there'll be some like the little lobster you're looking at here. I do not prioritize the poop or the low end stuff. It gets set aside and it eventually will get listed. I do prioritize all of my inventory first in, first out, and seasonally and monetarily. So the most expensive stuff's going to get listed first, then by season, and then the poop. Eventually the poop will get listed. I'm not going to sift through my wholesale purchases and have some arbitrary number of $35 and everything under that I'm going to redonate or throw away. That's a waste of money. That's a waste of resources. I also need to let you know that up until a couple of months ago, there were two of us doing this job. We're both very quick at it. And now that I'm doing this alone, I have List Perfectly AI. I can, from start to finish, photographs, building the listing, and pushing the listing out, I can do around 40 an hour. Sometimes a little more, like jewelry, I'm faster because I'm using AI to build my listings. It's like having an employee or a lister. And I actually take my pictures in bulk, so I have hundreds of items already photographed for me when I sit down to build listings. So I actually do more like 80 an hour, but that doesn't include the photos. But photos are fast for me. This is the business model I chose to have for myself. This is the business model that works for me. This is the business model that pays my bills. And this is the business model that makes me happy. It works with my disability. I get thousands upon thousands of items delivered right to my door at a very low cost of goods. And I don't have to stress my back or go out for hours on end and be on my feet and dig and dig and dig. I spend my time photographing and listing versus thrifting. Now, if you're selling higher end items or you have a higher average sale price, I bet you spend more time on thrifting. It's a matter of where you want to spend your time. I don't want to have to leave my house every day. I don't want to have to put wear and tear on my car and drive all over Pittsburgh and spend hours on my feet and putting stress on my back and coming home in pain with just a couple of items. I want hundreds, thousands of items that I can just sit in the comfort of my own home and listen to my body and my disability and take breaks when I need and just photograph and list. So my business model may not look attractive or appealing to you, but it is attractive and appealing to me. I like to spend my time photographing and listing. I sell in volume. Now, if I sold one $7 lobster a week, I'd be in trouble. But the beautiful part of having 5,000 plus active listings on my main eBay store and over 2,000 on Keith's store that we keep private, plus being on multiple platforms, plus having affiliate links, it's volume. You sell in volume, you make money. This is my business. This is my business model. It's not yours. It pays my bills. My bills aren't your bills. every once in a while, every so often, I have to preface a video with this because I do get snarky comments, messages, emails, people being snotty, people outright being shitty and trying to act like they're superior to me. Well, I saw your video and there was plush under $10. Is that your business model? Yes, ma'am, it is. It is. I sell all things. If I'm not asking you to make my listings for me, if I'm not asking you to run my business, if I'm not asking you to pay for my items or to source for me, and if I'm not asking you to pay my bills, why do you care what I do with my business? Why do you care how I run my business or what items I have? And 100% of the time, I say on items like this to the general public, do not source this. This is poop. So this is a teaching channel and this is a learning channel. But I'm not here showing you the once in a lifetime finds. I'm not here showing you the one lobster in the entire world that's going to sell for $100 that one reseller one time in 20 years is ever going to find. I'm here for the reality. And if you're disabled or you can't leave the house a lot, this is reality. You spend $100 at American Thrift Supply. You get a 5-foot tall box full of plush. You're going to pull out a bunch of them that are going to be worth 40 to maybe $60, handful. There's going to be some that are worth under 15, a handful, and most are going to fall in the bread and butter range, and that is reality. But I'm not here. I don't lie to people. I'm honest. I'm transparent. I'm straightforward. I buy everything bulk and I list everything, even if it's poop, but I'm always here to tell you when it is poop. Don't source this lobster. I wouldn't source this lobster. But he came in a box and I pulled all the poopy ones out until I had a box full of them and sat here on a rainy day and took some photos. If I sound like I'm upset, I'm not really upset or angry. I just get really tired of having to defend my business model when 9 out of 10 resellers that I'm actually friends with in real life who realistically resell and do this for a living have business models similar to mine. They sell the poop plush out of the wholesale boxes. They sell the $8 comics and they sell $60 and $100 comics. But most of the resellers I know who are realistic human beings have business models very similar to mine. I don't know who you're watching on YouTube that you think we're all going out every day and finding items every day that are going to pay for our kids' college tuition. That's not realistic. Once in a while, yes, we all have a home run. And, it depends on where you live, where you thrift, how willing you are. Again, where do you want to spend your time? Do you want to spend your time thrifting or you want to spend your time at home in your pajamas taking photos and listing? Because that's me. But this is realistic. And again, I get tired of having to defend myself. I know I've been on YouTube for 8 years. I know there's new resellers and new people watching my channel every day. And I can tell when people have honest questions and they're just asking, and that's great. But when you come at me passive aggressively, like you think you're doing something, you think you're proving something by being a shithead or snotty, you can back off and go watch somebody else. Go watch somebody else find the once in a lifetime items that you're never going to find. Or just watch and don't comment. I shouldn't have to do, like, even if I was out here selling pieces of paper for 10 cents a piece and showing you those pieces of paper and saying, hey, this pays my bills. Why is it anyone's concern? Like, yes, I'm on YouTube, so I'm putting my stuff up for public consumption and you guys can see it and you can judge and you can make comments. That's great. But it's almost like people come at me like they're personally offended. And I didn't ask you to run my business or pay my bills. So if you don't like my content, you don't have to watch me. It's on YouTube for free for anybody that wants to watch it. That's great. But if you don't, honestly, like, Do you not have better things to do with your time? I know I don't watch people I don't like. I don't spend time on things that I don't either find enjoyment from in my free time or that I don't learn from on my work time. If you're not learning from me or you don't like me, go do something valuable with your time. Unless you really, really, really must hate watch me and make your comments. Thank you for the income and the boost in the algorithm. Okay, that's all said. I think it's clear to everybody now. I run a volume-based business. I buy things in bulk. When you buy wholesale, not everything in there is hand-picked and selected by you, nor is it all great. In fact, there are some types of items, like I'd say remote controls. You know that 10% of your order is going to be thrown away because it's going to have battery corrosion and or not work. You're not always going to have home runs in your wholesale. You're more likely to get those if you go to the thrifts on your own. Estate sales are good places to find great stuff. But I don't want to do all that. I go thrifting like once a month with my eBay group that I run. And honestly, I actually spend more time socializing and walking around with the members of our chapter and helping them source items than getting stuff for myself. So I've mentioned this lobster several times by now. His feelings are probably really hurt. How many times have I called this poor thing poop? It originally came with 3 babies, I believe. It's cute. If you look on the underneath, there's a zipper and the babies go inside. I think there were 3 originally, so it's missing some babies. It's not a great brand. It's super cute though. And so I sold it for the $787 plus $550 shipping. This is a lovey. Loveys are good. However, just like anything, you're going to have loveys that are bread and butter, and you're going to have loveys that are bolos. All loveys have a good sell-through rate and will move more quickly than other regular plush. And even the bread and butter ones, you know, they're going to sell faster. Folks love loveys for their babies. If you don't like bread and butter items and filler items, which I'm starting to think a lot of you don't from all the rude comments I get, then do your research and look for the ones that have the higher sell prices, and good luck finding them in bulk. This is an Oh Joy Swan lovey. With shipping, it's a $20 all-in plush that I paid maybe 50 cents for. Jellycat. So this one sold for $21.87 plus the $550 shipping. You can see here, if you have eyes and you're looking, but I'm being really snarky today. This is 50% off. So I've talked about Jellycats on this channel a lot of late, very recently. This is one of the brands that people have just trashed. There are still some Jellycats that will sell for a lot of money, but back when I first started reselling 8 years ago, I could pick up any Jellycat and it would sell for $60, $85, $100. Even this guy. You can see he started his life out at $43.74. I usually run a 20% off sale on our items around the clock. So it's a $35 plus shipping. So it's a $40 plush, give or take. I'm clearancing items out. I'm making room in my garage. And stellar items, I'm putting on 50% off. I'm happy to get the $30 for them. Because a lot of the Jellycats, if you look, actually I did a video. Let me make myself a note. I'm going to, at the end of this, link the video I did about how I set up my sales, because I just mentioned that. And then I did a video all about Jellycats. Like, we looked through the solds on eBay on that one and saw what they were actually selling for realistically, because they're just disappointing anymore. It's why you shouldn't race to the bottom. So those were the 3 plush that sold. This time of year, 3 plush in a week is pretty good, especially when this price sells. We just came out of Easter. Easter was yesterday. And leading up to Easter, there's always like this huge influx of plush sales. And then it kind of tapers off for a month or 2. This is a hand-carved Tiki Pendant. I laugh because I think of the episode of Scrubs where they were talking about the episode of the Brady Bunch with the little tiki doll and the woo, and how it was cursed on the vacation. If you know, you know. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. I always think of that episode of Scrubs whenever I see these little wooden tiki dolls. This one sold for $18.75. It was 30% off on our weekend sale. $5 shipping. I had several of these Lee trousers sell on all the platforms. I had brown ones, black ones, and plaid ones. They came from the buyout I did for my friend Jay. I have my last 2 boxes sitting here from that, by the way. So I'm going to unbox those this week along with the box of jeans I bought. So yeah, they were all new with tags, varying sizes, but there were several of each color, and they're doing well. So I really like Lee. I like used Lee, but you know, obviously anything new with tags is going to sell for more. This is even size 6, which is usually a tough size to move. This is a handcrafted Hyshell bead necklace, and it sold before it could go on sale. So I do have sales set up in my store 24/7 around the clock. Monday through Friday, everything's 20% off. I do mark up so that I can run sales. And I'll link that video for you at the end in case you haven't seen it. It usually takes a couple of hours after a listing goes up, a new listing, for my sales to grab it, because you can set them up to grab your new listings. And sometimes I don't necessarily think it's the item. Sometimes it could be the item, I guess. Like if you have a really hot item, it's going to sell quickly. But sometimes I think you're just in the right place at the right time, and you get something listed at the exact moment somebody's looking for it. It's like fate or serendipity. And apparently someone was looking for this type of necklace at the right moment because it sold for the full price before it went on sale. This is a Hyshell. Whenever I have these kinds of necklaces that look like this, I do, if I have room, like to put boho, but more importantly to me is beach core and surfer and men's, so that men know this is for them. They can wear it to the beach. They can wear it if they're a surfer dude. They can wear it on vacation. And I was really happy with this sale because it also got $5 shipping on it. So this was a really nice sale and fast. Like I schedule all of our listings out 21 days ahead of time. So this was one of my listings that was scheduled, but it's so fast. This is a blouse that I actually bought contemplating it for myself. So a couple weeks ago, if you didn't know already, most people have already heard, a couple weeks ago, Keith and I went to a concert. We went and saw Disturbed, and Daughtry opened for them. It was a really good concert. They put on a really good show. The weekend before we went to the concert, the weekend before was the monthly thrifting trip with my local eBay meetup chapter. And like I said, I go with them once a month. Well, that trip, I just socialized with my girlfriends. I have so much stuff here to list. I don't really need to thrift. I go to be with the people and whatever. But I went through the blouses and I picked out several as options for me. And I ended up actually keeping the one. I said that I was going to pick out an outfit, wear it to the concert, wash it, and then sell it. I ended up keeping the button down. It's a pink plaid shirt and the jeans. I ended up keeping both. The jeans are Lane Bryant and they're super comfortable. I just wore them for Easter dinner yesterday with the blouse again too. So I'm going to keep those, but everything else that was a maybe, I'm selling. And this is something I wanted to bring up with you because I love this about being a reseller. Whenever I have a special event, I live in pajamas, and when I go outside in jeans and t-shirts. Whenever I have a special event, whether I go to eBay Open or I go to a local event or I go somewhere special or I need a special outfit for the holidays, I typically always shop my own store. So I'll look through what I have here, or I'll go to the thrift store and pick out some items. Whatever I end up wearing, I almost always just relist or list. So you can always shop your own store and buy stuff for yourself, wear it once, and then sell it. I love being a reseller for that reason. A lot of the blouses that I decided not to wear have already sold. It's fast. Like the concert was 2 weeks ago, and I got these blouses up, I would say the following week, the ones I decided not to wear. And I do schedule my listings out 21 ahead of time. but sometimes on the weekends I'll push out extra listings. So I decided to push these out, and I've sold some of them on Poshmark and some of them on eBay. So I don't know if this is a lesson to me that when I go to the thrift, I should be looking for women's tops. That's what Keith said. He said, do it again, because we're going this weekend. He's like, do it again. Go through the blouses and pick stuff that you're attracted to in your size that you think you would wear, and see if you can sell them as quickly as you did these, because it was like really a fluke. Like a lot of them sold. This one sold for $15 plus the $5 shipping. There's a couple, I think, in here, and some sold on other platforms. All that to say, it's a smart way to shop. If you're a reseller, you can always just borrow from yourself to wear to special events, or buy something for yourself from the thrift really cheap and then sell it. And then if you end up really, really liking it and you keep it, you didn't spend a lot of money. I spent $2 on my top and my jeans, $1 a piece, literally. 99 cents actually, so I spent $1.98. All right, we have some vintage rhinestone clip-on earrings. These sold for 20 bucks all in with shipping. I do really well with the vintage clip-on earrings. I don't know who's wearing these. I feel like, I don't know. I want to say older people and not be offensive. I want to say maybe for costumes, for plays. I don't know. Who wears clip-ons? Do you know? Let me know in the comments. I remember watching soap operas with my mom when I was a kid, and she would always make fun of the ladies because they would always pull off their clip-on before they answered the phone. You know what I'm talking about? All right, then we have 32 degrees jogger pants. They sold for 18 plus the 7 shipping, so 25 all in. This is something I would tell you to be on the lookout for, but then I might get a message from someone saying, something that sells for $25 isn't a bolo. You sell cheap things. Your store sucks. But if you're not an asshole and your cost of goods is relatively cheap, these sold within 2 days of being listed, so they had a quick sell-through rate, and they sold for 25 bucks, and I paid $1 for them. So I will be on the lookout for these. And if you don't like them, then you can leave them behind, and that's more for me and my friends that sell items like this. Somebody's salty today. So this shirt I actually picked up when I was looking for shirts for myself for that concert. I just saw the yellow plaid. I like button front plaid shirts. It's like I'm 80 or something. I pulled it out and I looked at it and I said, this is a men's. This is not women's. But then I thought American Eagle usually does really well in the men's button fronts, and it's an extra large. So yep, this one's already sold too. I didn't buy it for myself, but it was with those shirts because it was on the rack in the women's section put up incorrectly. This is a Swiss Sport vintage fishing shirt. So this is kind of like a ripoff of the Columbia fishing shirts. But I think any brand of the vintage fishing shirts are good to get. Of course, the Columbia ones are going to sell for more money. But again, if you're paying $1 for something and you can flip it for 20, and this was 50% off, yes. You know, this one must have taken a longer to sell. It is a size large. I would say extra large in men's shirts is usually the way to go, but there's always exceptions to everything, right? This is another one I picked out for myself for a maybe. And then I realized people like me should not wear white, so it got listed and it sold. It's Liz Claiborne, which usually isn't a good brand, but the blouse is cute, and I used really good keywords. And again, maybe, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go in this weekend and do it again and just pick stuff that I'm attracted to and see what happens. This is really cute with the lace, but I can't even wear like dark clothes and not get my food on it. Keith says I'm a mess and he can't take me anywhere. So I probably shouldn't be wearing white, but I thought it was really cute. Keith's grandmother had a shirt on yesterday for Easter that had like little lacy sleeves and shoulders, but the rest was like a dark floral print. But I like that like lacy panel. I don't know. It's just cute. And if you can't tell by the fact that I actually wore a blouse yesterday and Keith's grandma was dressed up, we went out and had a nice family dinner with the whole family, with his whole family, his grandparents and everybody, and good time. And I dressed up. It was weird, but it was fun. Sometimes it's fun to do fun dress up thingies. All right, this is a leather rhinestone studded wrap bracelet. So it's nothing fancy. It's just leather with multi-strands and it buttons closed. And I sold it for just about 18 bucks all in. Again, I list everything from my boxes. Cannot make that clear enough to you. Especially my jewelry boxes, because I pay $6 a pound. It's an African safari wood animal beaded necklace. Now, I had a handful of these. I received a ton of bunch in one of my wholesale jewelry buys from Whistle Pig Market on Etsy. And averages out to about $6 a pound, like I said. She does have a code, all caps, HIPPO, you can use for 20% off your order. I'm not an affiliate. I don't make anything if you use my code. However, the more of us that use the code, the more likely she is to let us keep having this coupon, and I get to use it too. So if you want to use it, go for it. But I got a bunch of these from her last year. I priced them high to see what would happen. And I've kind of been bringing down the price a little bit to see where the good like range was, I guess. I started them around $80 plus shipping. This one is now $65 plus shipping. This is the first one that sold. But I did get a bunch from her. And then I bought a bunch of jewelry from my friend Jay. And she had a bunch of them in there. I don't know which ones came from who. But I do know that I got all of my carved animal necklaces either from Whistle Pig Market or from Jay. And some of them I put up for 40 and 50. It just depended. Like the ones like this with the 2 strands and all the really detailed, intricate carved animals. Yes, I started at $80. There were some that were like just the carved beads and no animals. So that's like more like a 40 or 50. I kind of just went with my gut. You guys know that's how I price jewelry. I have like a base point and then I go with my gut, up or down, depending on how I feel the jewelry will sell. And something that is this handcrafted with this much detail, with this many animals, of course you're gonna, try aim high. I mean, look at this detail. By the way, if you want to see how I price jewelry, I have a free guide. It's in the description box. You can grab it. It's culminated from my own research, trial and errors, and many, many, many discussions and meetings with my jewelry friends. These are the base prices that we came up with, but you have to trust your instinct and be able to go up and down depending. Like my base price for necklaces, I believe, is $25. I'm not selling something like this for $25. I did $80. So it finally sold. I don't know why it's showing like this here, because usually when you pull up your sales, you see how eBay shows you that these items were on sale. It was on sale when it sold over the weekend. It was 30% off. And since I can't math, it sold for 45, 46. And I didn't mean to click that, sorry. It sold for 45 plus the $5.50 shipping. It's probably worth a little bit more than that. But again, it's been sitting at 80 and just coming down like 5% here and there. I'm just kind of marking them down. I was hoping these would be like in the market with the people that have all the discretionary money and don't worry about spending, because most folks right now in this economy don't have $80 to spend on a necklace. But we'll see. This is the first one to sell, and I have a bunch of them. I am surprised they took this long. I really wanted to talk about this a little bit. So if I'm talking too much about this necklace, I mean, there's a reason to it. This is very unique. And I did not expect them to take this long. I really thought they would all sell quickly. I don't think it's because I have them priced too high. I think it's folks don't have that kind of money to spend on this type of things right now. And maybe the people that do aren't attracted to this kind of stuff. I don't know. If you have an opinion, you can let me know. Unless you want to ask me why I sell my bread and butter items, because I'm just going to tell you to watch the beginning of this video because I'm tired of explaining myself. I understand when you're on social media and you put yourself out there, you're asking people to form opinions and judge you, and that's fine. I just feel it's a little different when people attack your business. I don't go around attacking other people's business models. People, you gotta build a business that works for you. for your situation, any disabilities you may have, your status in life, your family, your friends, what you're willing to do, what brings you joy in life, what makes you happy. And that's not going to look alike for everybody. So let people be, especially people that are out here on YouTube, like teaching. Yeah, I get ad money. It's not a lot. Like I'm not making a ton of money to make these videos. I just like to teach and help people. But when people are rude, I don't want to help and teach people anymore. Just being honest. All right. If you watched this all the way to the end, I really do appreciate you. I had a lot to say this week, and I have a lot to show you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know down below. Don't forget to join my Facebook group. It's called Flippin' Hippos Reseller Pod. And go be productive. Go build a business that works for you. And mind your own business, too. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.